Hey, ladies, welcome. Welcome to Fun Friday. Hope everyone is doing well today. All right, let's get started talking about prepping for Diamond Dave. Also, I have a couple of other things to talk with you today about as well. Want to ask first of all that you give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you are watching the replay, put replay into the chat. I'm sorry, into the comments. That way, YouTube will know that you like the content that we are providing here. But everybody, please like the video as you are coming in. If you are not a part of our email list, why aren't you? You want to be a part of the Black Women Making Money email list as well, bwmakingmoney.com. Perfectly free to sign up. Instead of doing Patreon and memberships and all of that, this is the way I can send you exclusive content. In 2 weeks, on Sunday, May 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we are having our Level Up Using LinkedIn session. It is a masterclass session. It's 3 easy steps for you to basically level up your career, level up your business using LinkedIn. Simple stuff that I do that works. So, bwmakingmoney.com for you to get the invite for that. Also, if you're into real estate investing, on Monday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, I am having a special session called Buy Your First BRRRR property. BRRRR stands for Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, and Repeat. It is a strategy that people use in order to buy unlimited amounts of property. So if you go to bwmakingmoney.com, you sign up for that. I will send you the link for that special session. That is, I'll send it out tomorrow morning, bwmakingmoney.com, to get on my email list so that you can get the link either to the real estate sessions that I'm having or to I'm having a grant session in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk about how you can get your business grants. So bwmakingmoney.com, in order for you to get the special link to be invited to that. Those things will not be airing on YouTube. And then, of course, our LinkedIn masterclass session is also going to happen. The only way you can get the invites, get the hookup, all these classes are for free. You just got to be on my email list, bwmakingmoney.com. Again, everybody, as you're coming in, definitely like the video. So, since some of you are coming in now, I have some bad news for you. That is that I am filming my session with Diamond Dave tomorrow, but Dave contacted me earlier today and said we're not going to be going live on his channel. He has another channel that he is launching, and he thinks that the content that we're doing is going to be great for that channel. So, I'm going to give you a little preview of some of the data that I have and information that I have. It's like a real preview. And then when Dave is ready to launch his new YouTube channel, it is going to air there. So I apologize. I jumped the gun. I thought we were going to do a live session, but it's not. He has said that he wants it to be pre recorded. So, again, I'll give you a little taste of what I'm looking at right now. And then when he is ready to launch that recording, he definitely will. So, hey, Shara, saying TGI Friday. I hope you got your wine glasses ready. So, the other thing, got 2 things to talk about. Number one is, while all of us were yapping about bus driver gate, there was something major that happened last weekend in the financial and economic sector that we did not talk about, and most Black people weren't even hip to. And that is the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting. One year I actually might go to this. This is the who's who, the premier with regards to people who are in economics, finance, thinking about their money, et cetera, et cetera. It happens in Omaha, Nebraska every year. If you don't know what Berkshire Hathaway is, it is a company that is a holding company. They own Geico, they own a lot of different businesses. It was founded by Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. And there was a third guy as well. I think he passed or something like that. But they have their annual shareholders meeting every year in Omaha, Nebraska, and it happened last weekend. So these are some of the takeaways that people had from the Berkshire Hathaway meeting. Number one is that Buffett is saying that opportunities are still hard to find. He right now is sitting on $130 billion in cash and treasury bills. Imagine if you had $130 billion in cash sitting there saying, I can't find opportunities to buy. But that's exactly what Buffett is saying because he is a value investor. So Buffett said he would rather do a deal for a large company than sit on the cash earning interest, but that it depends on prices, noting that things are generally expensive these days. So that's number one. Number two, he talked about the bank collapses. He said that he had sharp criticism for the management teams of several U.S. banks that have failed in 2023. He came prepared to discuss the turmoil in the sector, placing large printed signs reading, quote, available for sale and, quote, held to maturity on the table in front of him and Charlie Munger to laughs from the audience. Those terms refer to the accounting treatment of securities on the bank's balance sheet. So a lot of people felt like, and still feel like, the regional banks are the ones that really have a lot of problems. So I did read though that I think it was SVB bank sale, like whoever bought that made like $90 million or something like that, some crazy amount of money. We'll read that at some other point. The third thing is that Abel, who right now, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, they're like in their 90s. They are elderly men. So they have been grooming their underlings to take over when they pass. I don't think they'll ever retire. But anyway, Abel will carry on the Buffett legacy. This is the guy that they are. One of them that they believe will take on the Berkshire Hathaway brand to, um, and move it forward. So there's this guy, Abel, who oversees Berkshire's non-insurance businesses. He spoke several times during the Q&A session on Saturday, expounding the performance of businesses, including the BNSF Railroad and Berkshire Hathaway Energy. Buffett is 92 and Charlie Munger is 99 years old. Has praised this guy, Abel, for his long-term outlook and value-oriented approach. So, yes, ladies, another thing that happened here is that one of the shareholders cut up. You think it's just us cutting up? No, they cut up too. I don't know if you ever heard of this. If you heard of this, that happened over last weekend at the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. There's a guy named Peter Flaherty who basically was arrested. And story is that at Berkshire Hathaway, you are able to have access to the microphone in order to ask Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger a question. And this guy got up here and started talking about their ties to Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. And he got hauled out of there. So that is the word with that. So I see a lot of people coming in. Hope you like the video. Definitely sign up for our email list. Our email list is bwmakingmoney.com. Why would you want to sign up for our email list? Because we have some special webinars that you will only get access to if you're on my email list. We have a real estate webinar coming up on Monday talking about how to buy your first BRRRR property. BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. It is a way for you to buy an infinite number of properties in the country. I am your money lady with regards to helping you get those properties funded. You want to be on my email list in order to get the invite for that. We're having another session on business grants in a couple of weeks that I'm putting together. You want to be on my email list if you want to get into that webinar. We're also having another session on LinkedIn and leveling up using LinkedIn All of these sessions are free. I don't do Patreon memberships or anything like that, but you got to be on my list, bwmakingmoney.com. Joyelle is saying she made it here. Yes, you have, my dear. Yes, you have. Okay. Um, Next thing I want to talk about, and this is going to flow into my whole Diamond Dave discussion. I saw this video about this woman who has been waiting on her affordable housing vouchers for 12 years. 12 years. So we're going to watch a little bit of the news story. The news story, entire news story is 12 minutes. We don't need to watch it all. But I want you to put yourself in the frame of mind of the average American and where the average American is. What I wanted to talk to Diamond Dave about, and this is me stretching as well, is the fact that there are a lot of experts that believe foreclosures are going to rise. Some don't, some do. Um, Definitely everybody sees the data with regards to the credit crunch that's happening, and savings are dwindling for everybody. And even though we have a low unemployment rate right now, people don't know if we're going to have a recession, if we're already in a recession, things like that. So I wanted to dig into the data with Dave, who, of course, he is the GOAT. Like, I'm little peon Sheree, right? He is the GOAT. When it comes to data. Now, when it comes to like helping you write a business plan and raise capital, I'm your girl. I'm the go to that. But I'm stretching myself, right? But I want to start off with this. Um, I want to start off with this thing that I saw about this woman waiting 12 years on the affordable housing voucher rolls, because I have a point with this. J. Antoinette's here. I'm signed up for the email list, but I don't think I've received anything. Have you checked spam? Have you checked spam? Yeah, I've been sending emails out every Wednesday between 8 and noon. So you got one on this past Wednesday. Check your spam. If you still don't see it, you can email me bwmakingmoney@gmail.com. bwmakingmoney@gmail.com. Okay. And since there are more people here, let me tell you what's happening with Dave in our session tomorrow. So I thought Dave and I were going to go live tomorrow. Turns out he wants to pre-record tomorrow, and he has a new YouTube channel that he is going to upload that recording to. So I expected to have like a live session where we kind of duked it out about the numbers, but that is not what we're going to have. So I'm going to preview some of the information tonight with regards to what I want to share with Dave. If you're not into real estate investing, you might want to get into real estate investing. I'm getting a lot of phone calls from people in pre-foreclosure right now. I think that there is going to be a foreclosure wave. It may not look like 2008 because of some of the numbers and the data that's out there, but there are things that's going to happen over the next few years. Everybody that I know is gearing up for this. So if you want to pick up real estate properties, you want to build your rental portfolio, now's a great time to do it. Monday night, we're having a session about getting your first real estate property through the BRRRR method. I'm funding, I actively fund real estate projects. I also am working with a couple of people on funding affordable housing projects as well, and developments, working on helping them get bigger loans and get grants and things like that. So y'all want to be on my list, bwmakingmoney.com, to get all sorts of invitations to the sessions we do not do on YouTube. So, hey, Kay, how you doing? You had some great sessions this week. Computer and Coin is in the building. Oh, you just checked your spam and you found them. Good, good. Yep. People are in pre-foreclosure. Yeah, they are. Yep, they are. So, okay, so let me show you the first thing that I want to show you here, which is, make sure that it's on normal speed. Yes, it is. Okay. I'm going to start and stop this, but I want to have a conversation with regard to the mindset of some of the Americans that are out here. And yeah, we're just going to take it from there.
As rent prices rise across the country, more people are struggling to make ends meet every month. When they turn to affordable housing, many are met with a new set of problems. Wait lists that in some counties are nearly 2 decades long. It's forcing some families to take extraordinary measures.
Some counties are 2 decades long. You're going to wait 20 years, 20 years to get into affordable housing. 20 years. Think about it. Erica has people on Tech Tuesday talking about how you can get a tech certificate in 3 months. The guy Sub Zero talking about how you can get a tech cert in 3 to 4 months. They prep you for it. They help you with your resume. They help you with your interview skills. You could have 3 to 4 different lives in 20 years versus waiting for affordable housing vouchers. I'm saying this to you because the people I'm speaking with now who are in pre foreclosure, there is a mindset that they have where they are stuck. And I am not speaking derogatorily about these individuals. I'm saying there's a lot of them. And I believe, even though the numbers are not showing that there's a lot of housing inventory, there are a lot of people who are strapped for cash, who are living day by day, month by month, check by check. And if one thing happens, one thing falls out, next thing you know, they're in pre foreclosure. And at some point, either they're getting evicted, their houses are going to go up for auction, or they are going to be calling you and I, if you're a real estate investor, asking for help. You're saying Maryland is a 10-year rate. I would believe that. Mentor Shelley's, hello, hello. You'll say, I'll sign up looking for spots in North Central Massachusetts. Yeah, you should come to my webinar. You might as well just build yourself a tiny home. There are going to be homes that are already built for sale. Does it mean that the government are looking for more landlords and for vouchers? Yeah. So yes, definitely. Also, banks, there is a program called the Community Reinvestment Act, where banks are trying to give loans to low income individuals. Also, what do you call it? It's not just Section 8. It's not just Section 8. It's regular working class people who now are spending 50% of their income on rent. So the government is also looking for landlords to take those individuals as well, and there are tax credits and things like that that can assist with that. So you're asking, why you're bringing up Erica and her programs. Where were these people during the pandemic when they were paid to stay home? Another channel said people receiving $1,400 a person. Yeah. But here's the thing, this goes to the mindset of these individuals, which is why I wanted to show you this, because this came across my YouTube recommendations. And I'm like, oh, I've got to add this in. I just watched this yesterday. So why the 10 years plus wait? Because there's not enough landlords, number one, that want to take Section 8. There's not enough housing available for these individuals. Not enough. And Section 8 is a whole nother thing. I understand why people don't want to take Section 8. It's a whole nother thing. But there is also a subsection of people who are good. Not that Section 8 people are not good, hardworking Americans, but that are working class Americans who aren't on Section 8, who would prefer not to spend 50% of their income on housing as well. So let's continue listening to this.
To keep a roof over their heads, a goal that they can't always achieve as they struggle for years, not knowing if or when they'll ever get approval.
Number one, you saw 3 Black women on the screen here. So Black women seem to be the face of this epidemic as well. Now, you and I both know that there are other ethnicities that are caught up in the affordable housing thing, but whatever reason, they chose to make Black women the face of this. This is not good. Ladies, be careful, especially with men moving into your homes with you. You all, we've had this conversation before. Don't even let them get mail at your house. Keep your housing for you and your children. But let's keep going.
ABC News has collaborated with our ABC-owned television stations for the past 6 months, investigating just how deep this affordable housing crisis goes. Our Stephanie Ramos has the story.
I love everything about San Diego. The beaches are lovely. It's usually pretty sunny. You usually can wear flip-flops pretty much year-round. I ended up...
Now, San Diego is expensive as hell. Expensive. And she's trying to get affordable housing in San Diego. Let's keep going.
In San Diego, I was married. My husband was stationed here. And I moved here from the Bay Area in, I think, 1996. And I stayed here after divorce because I loved it here. When I signed up for Section 8 and low-income housing, my kids were very small at that time. I did not feel that I would be on that list for 12 years.
Y'all heard that? She was on the list. It's still on the list waiting 12 years. She could have got a nursing degree by now. Now, she's going to say that she has a disability. I don't know if it's physical or what it is, but even with the physical disability, you could be in tech. There's so much you could have done within 12 years. Let's keep listening.
For Tanya Frazier, finding long-term housing within her budget,
I assume that's her son,
has been an uphill battle. She's disabled, she's taken care of her 3 children, and has been waiting 12 years to be granted affordable housing by the San Diego Housing Commission.
I'm just going to check myself on the waiting list and see where I am. Here we go. This is the waiting list portal, August 9th.
Okay, so first of all, nails are done. Nails are done. I'm just making a statement that the nails are done. The lace front wig is laid. Pretty woman, right? She's looking for 2 bedrooms. Section 8 waiting list. Been on there for 12 years. Why am I bringing this up? Because when we start talking about pre-foreclosures and foreclosures and who's going to need our help, it is about the mentality and the psychology of the person. Dave is right. We want to look at the numbers, but we also want to look at the people behind the numbers. Who is most likely to be in the position where they're going to need our assistance? Rose, you're asking why am I picking on her? I really, you're lying. Not you're lying, you're laughing. Sorry, you're laughing. I am not picking on her. I'm talking about the mentality. 12 years. She could have done so much, Rose, in 12 years. Let's keep listening.
2011 at 5:19 p.m.
She's been on the list since August 2011, y'all.
Tanya says she's been checking on her status every month for the past decade, calling, waiting for a letter in the mail. Still, no one has been able to tell her where she is on that list or how long she'll have to keep waiting.
I can tell you, she's on the list. They're going to wait her out until she's in the grave. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at her. I really am not laughing at her. I'm like, you should have contacted us in 2012. We could have hooked you up. They got workforce development programs that will pay you to go and get training for free. If you can't afford the people on Erica's channel, there's this place called launchcode.org that I've told you all about. 6 months of training. They'll teach you how to code, they'll teach you how to do other things in tech, and they have a recruiter that will help you find a job, and it's free. You could take it anywhere in the country. Yes, some of these immigrants are getting this housing. They are. There was a story in Chicago where they locked up a whole hotel, and it's all illegal immigrants in there. I believe she's ADOS. She ain't getting no housing. I'm saying she ain't getting no housing. NACA will assist her with a home as well. Yes, you're right. You're right. Let's keep going.
Frustrated, sad, sometimes hopeless that I'm never going to come up on that list.
The 8th biggest city in the U.S., San Diego's real estate business is bustling and growing. However, public housing complexes are not a common sight. ABC News, in collaboration with ABC-owned television stations, has spent the last 6 months investigating the public and affordable housing crisis affecting cities and towns across the country. We found that for housing vouchers, which are local subsidies helping renters find homes on the private market, the average wait in San Diego County is 8 years. And for public housing, it has the longest wait time of any large metropolitan county in the entire U.S.
In San Diego County, the wait list for public housing is over 18 years. We're just not building public
18 years. Imagine applying today, knowing you're going to be on the list for housing for 18 years. That's close to 20 years. That's you know what you could do in 18 years? Again, we're talking about the mentality and the thought process, because honestly, I had a conversation earlier today with the man, not early or earlier this week with the man, and he had this same mentality. I'm telling you that these things are coming down the pipeline. I'm talking with people who are stuck. They're stuck. They're stuck. And you say, well, why don't you make a move? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? All the things we're talking about. Leave San Diego, get this kind of job, do this here, do this there. And they are stuck. They're like, no, I want my housing voucher in San Diego, and I will wait 18 years for it. And with the credit crunch that is happening, with the lack of liquidity that people have, if they own homes, they're going into pre-foreclosure, and you're going to have a certain subsection of people, probably half, who will not leave their homes, or they will sell their homes at the very, very last minute, kicking and screaming. So I'm mixing the data that Diamond Dave and I are going to talk about with the phone calls that I'm on. And this is the perspective that people have.
housing like we used to. We're not providing enough housing vouchers for people to use on the private market. Today, what we're seeing is a housing crisis unlike one that we've seen since the mid-20th century.
The average rent in San Diego County increased by about 54% between 2011 and 2021.
I do have a roof over my head, but rent is expensive. It's $29.49 for this little house.
With more than 90% of her income going to rent, Tanya has to share this.
Did you hear that? She has 90% of her income going to rent. I told you that a lot of people, a lot of working class people, have about 50% of their income going to rent, right? 50, 60%. She has 90% of her income going to rent. That's a lot. You can't make a move. You can't do anything else. And she's paying $2,900 in rent. That means she's paying. I mean, her income is about what, 3,100 a year. She's below 40,000 a year.
This house with her grown children and her friend Rosa.
So she's house hacking. She has her children. She said she has 3 children. So they said her grown children live there. We don't know if all 3 live there. And she has another person. So this is how she's able to make it, right?
When I try to apply for low income, the waiting list is closed. And they tell me to keep calling, and I do, and I keep calling, but the waiting list is still closed.
This hard reality has pushed people in San Diego to find desperate solutions. Some of them not finding a solution at all.
We're seeing rates of homelessness steadily increase. We're seeing shelters filling up. We're seeing folks struggling with massive amounts of debt as they try and pay their rent. We're seeing evictions rise, and stable housing is a solution to those problems.
Yeah, so this is happening not just with low income, this is also happening with the middle class as well, where a lot more evictions are happening and things like that. So I did want to answer this. Didn't I inherit land in my family? Our family does have land. I do not live on that land currently, but yes, our family does have land. Yes, we do. Many people were set up to fail and probably shouldn't even be here. Too many Black children born into poverty whose parents couldn't afford kids. I agree with that. I do not judge people who are impoverished who have children. Um, I do believe that there are ways, there are resources for us in this country to be able to get skills, get high paying skills that we need if people are introduced to those opportunities and if they have the opportunity to be able to, take advantage of that. It is best for individuals who are currently in poverty to not have children to get the skills that they need in order to make enough income to get out of poverty and then get married and then have children. That is, according to the Brookings Institute, the best way for Black women to, navigate their lives. But yeah, I did want to answer that question about the inheritance of land. So I didn't personally inherit the land, but our family does have land that has gone back. So let's keep listening.
I have a bad habit. I love looking in people's windows because I just like to see how they live, because I don't have that steady. It sucks seeing how many buildings that are brand new being built and me not being able to get not one.
Brunelle Whitfield has lived in San Diego her entire life. She joined the housing voucher waiting list right after having her first son 12 years ago.
It's like I feel like there's like somebody in there just, nope, Brunelle Whitfield, we're not getting you nothing.
Brunelle says she has struggled every single day during these 12 years, taking care of her 4 children.
I've done miracles to keep us off of the streets. I experienced homelessness a couple times, unfortunately. I believe me and my kids' lives will be different if San Diego's wait list was like a couple months or a year. It would open doors where I'll be able to put my daughter doing gym, my son doing, soccer or something. I can't even, do extra things for them like that.
I think every young woman, before she has children, needs to watch something like this and know the ramifications of having children before you are financially stable. It doesn't mean that you will never be laid off. It doesn't mean that you'll never have your ups and downs financially. However, if you have skills, before you have children, then that can that can mitigate a lot of the poverty issues that we have in the United States. And you may say, Cherie, because I see a lot more people coming in, what does this have to do with Diamond Dave? Diamond Dave and I are going to have a discussion about the data with regards to what I believe is a foreclosure eviction crisis that's coming. However, these are the stories behind the data. So the other thing with Diamond Dave is, since we have more people in here now, I didn't realize that Diamond Dave wanted to record our session, and then he has a new YouTube channel that he's going to upload it to when he's ready. So I apologize for that, putting it out there that I was going to be live, because I wanted to have all of you comment as well about some of the data that I'm researching. However, I'll give you a little preview of that data as well this evening. But these are the stories behind it, because when we start thinking about, hey, we want to be real estate investors, and my business is funding real estate loans, right? For real estate projects, people who want to do fix and flips, people who want to buy long-term rent and holds, etc. When we're looking at the types of properties that are going to become available, it is going to be from people who are stuck. I've spoken with a couple of them this week, and I'm starting to see the trends, and just me getting started with, I've done real estate investing before, but me getting started with the funding side of real estate, I'm starting to see the patterns. So this here is us having a discussion with regards to the stories behind the numbers here. So we are going to continue with this here. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. If you want to get on my email list, bwmakingmoney.com. With that, I'm having a session on Monday for people who want to get into real estate investing called How to Buy Your First BRRRR Property. So it's all about buying your first real estate investment property, bwmakingmoney.com for you to get the link invite for that. Also having another session on business grants as well, you to get money for your business grants. That'll be in a couple of weeks. And I'm having another session on leveling up using LinkedIn for your career, your business, etc. It's going to be a masterclass. The only way that you can get that content is through bwmakingmoney.com. That will not be on YouTube. Okay. All right. Let's continue listening to these stories here.
People lining up overnight to apply for affordable housing in New Jersey.
By noon today, 1,500 applications were submitted. Housing officials.
Wait. I gotta roll that back. Hold on. Look at the people. Look at the people. Look at the competition. There are some jobs that can't even get 2, 3, 4 applicants. Yet for housing, look at the people. Yeah, the children may be biracial. I'm to a point where these are kids. These are families that are desperate. Let's keep going. I want to, because they said they're in New Jersey. So let's look at this again.
For affordable housing in New Jersey.
By noon today, 1,500 applications were submitted.
Housing officials are set to talk about the opening of the waitlist lottery for Section 8 housing vouchers.
For the first time in more than a decade, the Philadelphia Housing Authority opened its Housing Choice Voucher waiting list, but the website couldn't keep up with the demand. Chris Gilletta was here.
The lack of public and affordable housing is a widespread issue. For instance, ABC's data analysis shows that public housing wait times exceed 17 years in Suffolk County, New York, 9 years in Meeker County, Minnesota, and 6 years in Hinds County, Mississippi.
Right now in America, how big of an issue is public housing?
We haven't built any large-scale public housing since Richard Nixon put a moratorium on that construction in the 70s. But the demand for affordable housing has only increased recently as housing prices have increased and wages have stagnated.
Okay, I speak to developers. I don't speak to super big developers, but I speak to like small mom and pop developers. They don't want to do the big housing projects anymore. I also look at the things that HUD is funding. I'm not seeing HUD funding big housing projects anymore like they did in the 60s and 70s. We are seeing that they're funding like um, single family home divisions, or things like that. But, or, like um, 16 units, 20 units, etc. But yeah, the only other thing that I can say, and I just haven't seen the public money going to this yet, is that people have been talking about converting warehouse space and office space, so office space and warehouse space, office space into housing, into single resident occupancy, SRO housing, and things like that. I haven't seen the money flowing into that yet. But I have my eyes open for that because that may be one of the ways that they handle this. But they have some tax credits right now for developers, etc. I think that the United States government is going to have to sweeten the pot. A lot of developers do not want to take Section 8. A lot of landlords do not want to take Section 8 for various reasons. I see we got Victoria here from the Solutionist Experience. She can talk about the paperwork. You make one error, you don't get paid. If the people mess up your property and you get an inspection that fails, you don't get paid. I believe that whether it's Trump or DeSantis or Biden or something like that, whomever is the next president and whomever the next congressional people are, if they have the appetite for it, they're going to have to really sit down and figure out what they're going to do within HUD. So you're saying HUD will eventually phase out Section 8. Those 30, 40-year contracts aren't getting renewed. They are going to tax credit. Yeah. And then you have to figure out, again, if you want to deal with the government. So I'm seeing a lot more of the developers that I'm speaking with that want to work with people who are not on the system. They don't mind working class people. If a husband and wife are together and they work a couple of jobs and together they're making $60,000, I'm seeing people willing to do housing for those individuals. I'm not seeing experienced real estate investors really wanting to get into Section 8. You're saying facts, the county held my mother's rent for 2 months. Yeah. Mentor Shelley is saying, my question is, why are people waiting this long instead of moving somewhere more affordable? Mentor Shelley, I think this is the mindset. This is the mindset that I was referring to. That's the only thing I could think of. It's the only thing I could think of. Let's keep listening.
There isn't a state in the country where someone working at minimum wage with 40 hours a week can afford a typical 2-bedroom apartment.
So there was a time when you started off at minimum wage as 15, 16, 17 years old. And eventually you got a skill and you worked your way up, either the corporate ladder or you got a skill trade. You worked your way up, you got married, you had a family, you had dual income, et cetera, et cetera. Now people are talking about, hey, we want to increase the minimum wage, but anytime Congress has had an opportunity to increase the minimum wage, what have they done? They've not done it. They don't have an appetite for it. They don't have an appetite for it.
When you went to the Philadelphia Housing Authority, what did they tell you?
Well, they didn't tell me anything. They just told me to fill out the application and just leave it. And they gave me a receipt. So,
And there's nothing you can do from there. But,
nothing but wait. Wait it out.
Dawn Adams was raised in Philadelphia, eventually settling in Atlanta. 4 years ago, her life was shattered when she lost her daughter to gun violence. She decided to return to a place that held her most precious memories. She's been waiting on the public housing list for 4 years, living with a friend and not making enough to afford a place of her own.
It gets stressing, it gets depressing. Sometimes I just be like, oh, boy, well, should I just go back to Atlanta? You know, sometimes it be days like that, but it's rough.
Last year, Dawn was selected in a unique pilot program that provides monthly stipends to people from the bottom half of Philadelphia's housing wait lists. She's been saving those allowances so she can eventually use that money to rent a home.
How does that make you feel to just, for a number of years now, to not really have a place to call home and be able to put your stuff and still waiting?
That's frustrating sometimes, but I figure since I came this far and I got picked from that, I figure it won't be long before I find somewhere to go.
This pilot.
So first of all, kudos to her. Congratulations for being selected for the pilot program. We'll see how long it takes. Also, kudos to her for saving her money. You know, you're saying here, I would have just saved just to buy. That's a possibility as well. I know that within Section 8, there's like a program within Section 8 where you can buy your house eventually. So how are you waiting to rent? Well, look, her finger waves are on point. Her hair, I mean, I loved it. I loved it. That's old school for me. That's like from the 90s. But yeah, Rosa's saying I would have gone to school to be a nurse. You could have been a nurse, but you could have been an RN by now. So yeah, absolutely. Let's keep watching.
Program will only last 2.5 years. And during that time, Dawn is unlikely to reach the top of the housing wait list, according to estimates by the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation. In the meantime, average rent prices in the area increased 9.5% between 2019 and 2021, according to the latest census data. But who is supposed to fix this? Is it each state, the counties, or the federal government?
In the 1990s, Congress passed the Faircloth Amendment, which effectively froze the amount of public housing units that were in existence at that time and said, we're only going to fund up to this many units nationwide. So that effectively banned the construction of any new public housing units. And that.
You all heard that? You all heard the federal government. I'm going to go back and re-listen to this because effectively they asked who's supposed to fix this issue. Is it the states? Is it the federal government? And they basically the federal government put some law out and that stopped construction of these units. Let's listen to that again. So I'm going to come back here to Dark and Lovely really quickly. You're saying in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County made it so that any developer that received tax breaks has to accept Section 8. Also, NC legislators debated an income discrimination bill to prevent Section 8 rejection. Here's my question is, number one, developers know how to get around stuff if they really want to. Number two is it depends on what percentage of the properties have to be Section 8. And number three is sometimes people won't take Section 8. I don't know about Charlotte. I know about other counties, but they won't take Section 8, but they'll take like people who make 80% of the median income within that geographic area. So it won't be low income, it'll be working class individuals. So, just because there's a law that occurs, I always like to look at, okay, but are people getting around the law? Are these developers getting around the law? And are there more units out there with this law being available, with these tax breaks being available? Are developers still willing to put up a significant number of Section 8 units? Are they skirting their ways around it? So we'll see what happens. But let's get down to the federal government. See, the federal government does not protect the poor. It doesn't protect the poor. Let's keep watching.
In 2021, according to the latest census data. But who is supposed to fix this? Is it each state, the counties, or the federal government?
In the 1990s, Congress passed the Faircloth Amendment, which effectively froze the amount of public housing units that were in existence at that time and said, we're only going to fund up to this many units nationwide. So that effectively banned the construction of any new public housing units, and that bill is still in effect. HUD is a bit between a rock and a hard.
So that bill from the 1990s saying that they're not building anything else is still in effect. It's still in effect. You're saying here, I currently monitor sites that have to beg people to accept apartments. Definitely two sides of the story, and the media is not completely honest here. Well, the media is never completely honest. They're never completely honest. You have to look at a few different sources to get the right information. They're going to talk about HUD right now being between a rock and a hard place.
Hard place. They want to sustainably and affordably house residents across the country, but Congress simply isn't allocating enough money for them to do that. If we made it a priority, we would find the money for it.
Found the money for the Ukraine. They found the money for everything else that they want to do. But the Congress people who we're electing are not finding the money for this. Says a lot.
ABC News reached out to the Department of Housing and Urban Development several times, but the agency did not grant our request for an interview. In a statement, the agency said HUD recognizes that the country faces an affordable housing shortage and that in this year's budget proposal, the administration has requested additional resources to address this issue.
I don't think we're doing enough, and I think that there is the will, but we need to find the way in order to build bipartisan support to get it done. It's important to understand that the housing market in this country has always been a public-private partnership, and the federal government and state and local governments need to do more to build that partnership so that this terrible shortage of housing can be fixed.
There isn't one specific cause.
I want to make a statement here. Y'all can throw tomatoes at me. Everybody like the video if you haven't liked the video yet. While this affordable housing crisis is happening and we're seeing more and more people homeless, Black people are also talking about reparations as well. I know that there was a hearing in California about reparations, and California has a horrible housing problem. My understanding, I didn't read the newspapers on it. I just saw some headlines on YouTube, so it could be totally wrong that it was shot down in California. I definitely know that Gavin Newsom does not want reparations. My point with this is that there are a lot of conflicting things that the US government is trying to figure out how to do. Reallocation of resources would help with Black instability. But if they, from the 1990s to today, have not felt the need to change the law that prohibited additional housing complexes being made, it's a long shot with reparations. I know, I am for reparations. I'm ADOS, both sides of my family. I get it. I'm just saying it's a long shot. There's a lot of issues in this country, And we are seeing the treatment of impoverished people. You're saying my friend told me it was denied. That was denied. That's my understanding. Tariq Nasheed got taken out by one of the protesters who called him a fraud. It was such a mess at the hearing. Oh, it was? I heard that he testified at the hearing, but I didn't know all of that. So you're saying rural housing is also a big thing too. Migrant workers get housing under the RD program. We can do the same thing as Black people. We're not taking advantage of all the resources that's available. We're not. We're not. So let's keep listening. We only have a couple of minutes left with this.
For this deeply complex issue. And advocates say there isn't one simple solution, but more federal funding, they say, could go a long way for millions of Americans still waiting for a place to live.
12 years, that's a long time to be on a list waiting for Section 8. And sometimes I feel like giving up. But then I think, okay, well, I've been waiting for this long, so why not wait any longer?
I feel as though it's going to happen. I mean, I'm not the one to give up, so I believe it's going to happen. I just got to be patient. Just be patient.
I want security for my kids. That's all I want. I don't care what kind of place it is. I don't care if I have to start in a hut. I will start in a hut.
All right. I know that was a lot. It was a lot to watch, but these are the stories behind the data. These are the stories behind the data. You're asking why not learn a trade? Within 12 years, the woman in Philadelphia, within 4 years, and now she's on the special program, but she still doesn't think she's going to get to the top of the list in order to get housing. These are long periods of time. They're long periods of time. I wish that all of them were on this channel or Erica's channel or Dave's channel or Brown Skin Girls or Solutionist Experience, any of us to be able to say, hey, look over here for the resource. Look over here for the resource. Part of the reason why I dropped my cape is because I got tired of telling people about resources. I'm like, look, if you want to know what the resources are, I can give you a list because they're out there. But then going back to my prepping for Diamond Dave, for everybody who is just tuning in, the reason why I talked about this is because I believe that there's going to be more foreclosures about to happen for various reasons. Digging into the data, I'm going to show you an article with regards to that. Also, the stories that I'm hearing, I had a couple of phone calls this week of people who had similar stories to the women in the video, in the news story. There are people who feel stuck and they are not moving. They're not moving physically, they're not moving mentally, they're not moving to get a trade, they're not moving in any way. I spoke with the man earlier this week, lost his job since November, pre-foreclosure, needed money from me, because I'm the money person, right? Called to get money from me. And I, when I talked to him about, well, what do you do for a living? What kind of job are you looking for? I just need the money. That's all he can think about right now, right? So as real estate investors, if you're a real estate investor, keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears open, there's going to be properties available. There are going to be people who need our help. There's going to be pre-foreclosures and foreclosures happening. The difference with this market and the 2008 market, 2009, 2010, 2011, is there was a lot of inventory then. There's little inventory now. People now are going to wait until the very last minute before they call you saying, okay, the sheriff is 2 weeks away from coming knocking on my door. Can you help me out of this situation. But those calls are coming. Those calls are going to be coming. And if you're interested in being a real estate investor, then, or if you are a real estate investor, there are going to be opportunities to pick up properties and also to help people and also to make money, either, creating a passive income portfolio of rental properties or, wholesaling properties, flipping properties to other people. I'm going to drop the link as well because so many of you are asking the same questions. So, like, why are women not getting skills and things like that? So, of course, we know that we're respectful on this channel, but I will give people a chance to come and say their piece. Oops. I'm going to, let's see here. I got one more article to show you. This is from a couple of months ago, but these are some of the stats that I'm looking at. And again, we looked at the stories behind the stats. Now we're going to look at some of the stats that I'm looking at. And during my talk with Diamond Dave, I'm going to prep a little bit more tonight so that I can go deeper into the stats. But what's the forecast on foreclosures in 2023? I don't know if it's going to be 2023, but there are certain things that are happening in our economy. So over the last 3 years, the housing market has gone from red hot to ice cold in the blink of an eye. At the end of 2022, foreclosure filings, which are default notices, scheduled auctions, and bank repos, were reported to be 115% higher from 2021, but down 34% from 2019 before the pandemic shook up the market. So we're asking, are foreclosures at risk? These are the things that are signaling why there may be an upward trend in foreclosures. So the first is outstanding auto loans. Auto debt has increased by 6%. Additionally, 60-day plus delinquency on payments has crept to 1.16%. So it's still kind of low. While this is still very low compared to past years, it has increased 46% from 2021. So people are watching to see how delinquent people are getting with their bills. You have credit card debt, which has increased. A lot of people are living on credit right now. And you have household liquidity issues as well. The CARES forbearance is over. And an additional 5.1 million borrowers are in default. With anticipated end of the CARES program on June 30th, 2023, payments are expected to resume 60 days afterwards. We also have not included student loan debt in this. So because of that, there are some people who believe that those are the types of stats that are going to show a potential increase in foreclosures, in a greater housing issue, etc. So, Lake Life, hello.
Hello, how are you, Cherie?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Oh,
What are
wow.
you-
This is quite interesting. I was just floored when you mentioned pre-foreclosure. I did not realize there was, well, I should have, but the uptick that you're mentioning. And I know that this is your neck of the woods. This is your specialization. So you would be the person to have more robust and real-time salient information regarding this matter. All I know for I'll go ahead and say it, the ebony type Black women, this is a good time to save and be ready to purchase your second home as a possible rental.
I agree. And that's why I wanted to do this session tonight. Invite everybody to my Monday session. We're going to be talking about buying your first rental property. So,
I
you
will
know.
definitely be there. I'm worried about Section 8, Cherie. I'm really, really scared. I'm by myself. And just,
Why worried?
Yeah, because there's still the issue of like protection, Ebony
Mhm.
mentioned, and I'm scared I'm gonna need some protection.
Well, you practice your 2A. Definitely practice your 2A.
But to even
Um,
have to be in that position to even use that, that's kind of scary. Like,
yeah.
it is scary. But uh, there must be other avenues to provide this type of service because it's again we have to think safety. It's like I know you mentioned there's plenty of families, but the vetting process is still difficult. You don't know people until you come down to the wire until something's
Mhm.
wrong. Then human character really will show through.
Yeah,
This is
yeah, and there are experienced property managers that are better at pointing out red flags, seeing red flags, things like that. So, part of my discussion on um, Monday will be how to vet the right property manager, because there's no way I can tell you how to. And in fact, there are renters who know the rental laws better than you do. So they will look for small mom and pop landlords and say, "Oh, Lake Life, she's a single woman. I'm going to, apply with her and I'm going to look all nice and sweet." And she's not going to know all of the precautions to take during this vetting process. Whereas if you get an experienced property manager that knows how to vet people, um, you have a better chance of selecting the right renter.
okay. That's a good point.
Mhm.
All right.
And
Well,
that's where people wanna be cheap, and that's not the time to be cheap. You make your money based on who rents your property.
yeah, because I mean, I personally have had very, very bad issues with landlords,
Mhm,
and I see it like as the switch. Like they see a certain type of renter because I do not like trouble at all.
mhm.
And I think because they see your income, so they see the income, they see a black woman, and then they can start with nonsense. And I mean, even Airbnb has been incredibly difficult. I just even purchasing my own home, like you have to remember also stalkers. Like I really do wonder, and this is something that I'll go ahead and wrap up because I know you have somebody else here.
Mhm.
Protection is I don't think it's really discussed. And Ebony was the first person to really vocalize it, and you could hear the emotion in her voice. It is so insecure. There's zero protection, and you definitely want to make moves, especially if you're a black woman with capital, and which many of us do. And your education, of course, is also a form of capital. It absolutely is, and can be monetized as a means of production. But fundamentally, capitalism will eventually have to come to a point where it has to serve a clear solution regarding Black women's security, because you're not really going to turn on this engine, this engine called capitalism, until the invisible hand properly deals with the issues that are bringing lack of security to Black women. Because
Well, I will say this, and then I'm going to answer this question on the screen and move to Alonzo. I've said on this channel before that Black women have to decide have to make some tough decisions in the realm of security, and we have not shown that we're ready to make those decisions yet. We are not electing individuals who can bring law and order and security into our cities and into our areas. And until that happens overwhelmingly, the best thing you can do, well, I'll say what I've done. I'm not telling anybody what to do. We have two German shepherds, and we practice our Second Amendment, and we live in, you know, I feel a very good area, and that's all you can do. That's all you can do. So and we've been honest. I've been honest on this channel about that. I don't think that Black women have the appetite. Just like I don't feel like Black people have the appetite to do what really needs to be done to get reparations. So um, I'm going to answer Hope's question about the time. The session will be Monday is 6 p.m. Eastern time. But if you were on my email list, I'm going to send out the link. And if you sign up for that session, then I'll make sure to get you the replay if you're not able to attend live. Okay, Hope? Thanks, Lake Life. And I'll mute you now, but I'll have you come back on.
Oh,
Okay?
you're great. Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Oh, good evening.
Alonzo, salute.
Salute, Cherie. How are you?
I'm good. Mr. Insurance himself is in the building.
Yes. I saw the topic. I was actually in and out, and I have a meeting in like 5 minutes, so I'm going to be fairly brief.
All right.
But I just wanted to come in firstly, just to show respect because I love what you guys are doing. And in terms of Black women making money, there's a beautiful thing. There's a analogy that a buddy of mine. We're going live tonight, and we're going to be talking a little bit on Friday Night Financials about kind of what's wrong with specifically Black men in a lot of these spaces. One of the things you mentioned was protection. And one of the things he mentioned was what Black men are doing currently, collectively as a collective, not every single one of us. But what we're doing is we're taking LeBron James, the greatest of all times, subjectively, and we're putting him, we're pulling him off of the basketball court, and we're saying, go be security and watch the other guys play. And that's what we're doing to Black women. We're taking you're LeBron, and we're putting you on the sidelines and saying, "Watch us play."
Well, we don't even want to be LeBron. I get your analogy. We don't want to be LeBron. So and look, we don't really we talk about relationships on this channel, but not like traditional way. With regards to protection, take a step back. On this channel, I let the ladies know that everything is being moved right now from a collective to an individual selection. The whole Scott Adams thing a couple of months ago. You have now the Supreme Court, which is basically going to say that race cannot be used in order to bring Black people really into Ivy Leagues. So a lot of Black people are going to get shut out of those opportunities. And, we're seeing where a lot of opportunities are going from collective, affirmative action, DEI, things like that, to individual in order for us to be able to make it and survive. Some of that protection may come from the individual level as well. I don't believe that our community has the appetite to do collective protection.
You were having that conversation with Dana, yeah.
I've had it a few times on this channel. I've said it multiple times, so the ladies know where I stand with regards to that. And I have a saying: if Black men don't build, then what? Because I want the ladies. One of the frustrating things that I feel is we have to get past we want Black men to build this, we want Black men to build that. And I'm grateful that you're having the conversation with the men. I think you should have the conversation with the men. In the meantime, I'm going to be over here telling the ladies, if they don't build, then what? Right. And we just have to be realistic about that. We have to be realistic about that. So, I'll let you finish because I know you have another few minutes before your call, but.
No, I completely agree with you. And like you said, if Black men don't build, then what? And that's a major issue for people like me and my colleague, because we are Black men who want to build. So we don't want you, just like you don't want to be LeBron, we don't want you to have to be LeBron, and we don't want you to have to consider then what? because on the same token, the then what has a detriment to me as a Black man, because then I can't get into it's difficult to even get into certain realms of business, as you were mentioning, working with developers. So I work with developers in New York City, and they're definitely not of my ethnic group, and it is a little difficult to even get them to take me seriously, even though they see the numbers. Oh, he's done X amount of $1 million in transactions, da 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 da. Yeah, but maybe he's still Glocktavius. And so unfortunately, it becomes even more of an uphill battle. I appreciate it. My client's on, so I got to get
Okay.
going. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Alonzo.
Money.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we don't have anybody else backstage, so I wanted to say a couple of final words before I let you go. The 12 years thing also caused me to think about it's not just lower income women and their housing. The 12 years affects us as well. It affects you and me, middle class, upper middle class, etc. There are some of us who have been saying for 10 years, I'm gonna get out of this dead end job. Yeah, it's paying me 120, but it's a dead end job. I'm going to get out of this and do something else. There are some of us who've been saying for 10 years, I'm going to start that business. There are some of us who've been saying for 10 years, I'm going to lose that 50 pounds. I always tell you all, it's not just about the one little thing that we're talking about. That's low vibrational. I always like to expand the topic as well. What are some of the things that you have been waiting on for 12 years that you haven't done yet? You've been waiting on for 6 years. You've been waiting on for 4 years and you haven't done yet. A couple of weeks ago, my boss asked me to get a certification. And, I'm like, okay, I'll get it. So I started doing my research, started talking to people, things like that. On Monday, literally Monday at 2 p.m., I started looking at how to get the certification, like the actual classes. The classes started on Tuesday at 11 a.m. in the morning. By Monday at 4 p.m., I had registered for that Tuesday class. Sometimes in order to break free of that 12-year rut, you got to make a decision and you got to move fast. There's something you've been looking at doing and you got to say, okay, for me, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I had to be in class from 11 to 6. It was a type of class because it's for a certification that you couldn't get out of your chair. They had to see you all the time on screen. You had to take these quizzes. You had to take the test, blah, blah, blah. Hope, give me a second and I'll come to you. And on Monday evening, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to shift. I have been shifting. You all know I've been shifting, but like shift even more. This is a certification, hopefully over time. Like it's one of those things where it's a skill. As long as I keep it, as long as I do my continuing education, I can always make some additional money. I want to encourage all of you to think, what have you been spending 12 years waiting on? The reason that I joined Dave's challenge, Dave said earlier this year, he put up a post a couple of times saying, I want somebody to come on to talk to me about economics from a data point of view, or, because he's mentioned a couple of other things, right? How many of us think that we can't handle that kind of challenge? Because I know that Dave is the GOAT with regards to data. However, in order for us to grow, in order for us to get to the next level, we have to be willing to do things that scare us. Having a conversation with Dave in his playpen about data and economics is scary for me. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, "Oh, I got it all together. I'm going to do with it." Like, no, I'm scared, right? I don't think Dave's going to do anything to me. Ultimately, he's an honorable man as far as I can tell, right? However, for you, there's something maybe that you have been wanting to do for 12 years, for 6 years, for 4 years, for 2 years that you have been scared to do. I'm telling you, me prepping for Diamond Dave is a shift for me. Me going to take that class from Tuesday to Thursday was a shift for me. What shifts do you need to do? Otherwise, you will be the same version, just at a higher socioeconomic level, but the same version of the women that we saw in that news program. You will. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for the super chat, my dear. You all are saying things that you want to start doing, and I'm so proud of you for that. I want to encourage you because everything that is great is on the other side of discomfort. Me doing this challenge with Diamond Dave is discomfort. Me getting into a new industry this year is discomfort. I'm incredibly uncomfortable right now. However, I know that if I keep working it, I keep working my system, things are going to happen. And all I want to do is encourage you to do the same thing and to think about the same thing. Hope, welcome. Hi.
Hi, Cherie. How are you?
I'm good. What do you have to say about this nice topic?
I thought it was kind of sad, to be honest with you. I can't really speak to a lot of their mentality or why. But one of them said something about, oh, I've been waiting this long, might as well kind of keep waiting. And I'm like, that's the sunk cost fallacy that we kind of all fall into a lot of the time. And I really like what you just said about the mindset of like, what have we been waiting to get to do for 12 years, 20 years, however long, and we're not doing in our own lives. And then that was one of my questions, because I do agree with you that the real estate market is shifting because it just has to be. Like, this is where the cycle has been, and I think the pandemic kind of just shifted it a bit, but it's not going to get rid of it. And what I'm wondering is, what are some things that you think we should be ready for, so we are well positioned for that shift as people who want to buy homes, whether first time home buyers or rental or whatever, other than like building your credit score, of course, savings, but because a lot of times now we know the cost of housing is ridiculous, but I feel like it's going to come down. Like it has to. So like,
it might
even slightly.
It might not come down. It might just stabilize, and it might depend on where you are in the country and where you want to buy. There are some places in West Virginia, for example, where they've got something equivalent to $1 cost program, right? But the question is, do you want to live in West Virginia? There are other places where I was speaking with a woman earlier today who has a brownstone in Queens worth $750,000, and those prices have been going down because she said that they've invested, I think, $100 million or something like that in her area of Queens. And the houses, those prices aren't going down. So it really depends
Seems
on
like it kind of cooled down a little bit from last year, like the trend I've been kind of seeing. I guess it definitely depends on where.
It depends on where you live. Yeah, it
Right.
depends on where you live.
But
So,
like, what are some things that we can get ready for?
So the first thing that I would say is I did a session a couple of months back on this channel about the 25 things you need in order to buy your first property. I would suggest you watch that. It was a really good session that I had. Because I can't remember everything that I said there, but that thing, I spent probably a week pulling that together, and I really broke down everything with regards to that. So watch that session. Um, the first big thing that I think is getting a mortgage broker to work with you on your housing strategy, not a lender. Well, you can go into Navy Federal or someplace like that. Typically, credit unions do have better rates if they accept you. The great thing about the mortgage broker is that they will shop your loan to multiple places, and they'll be able within their software to say, okay, if you pay off this and you pay off this and you get your credit here, and here's this NACA program, or here's this USDA program, or here's a grant for $3,600 from this bank, that's a down payment grant, and here you can grab this and grab. If you have the right mortgage broker, they'll know about all the down payment assistance programs. They'll know about all of the different programs that are out there, how what you need to do in order to fix your credit in such a way that you can be accepted. I would start off with that individual, because they'll the video that I told you to watch, along with talking with a mortgage broker, that'll give you your strategy of what you should be doing and focused on.
Oh, because it's also location dependent too. So they'll probably be able to tell if there's special programs or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I spoke with a couple of bankers this week that have programs. Now, these are programs for low and moderate income families, but all banks across the country have a certain amount of money set aside for down payment assistance. The problem is people don't know to ask. So you need the right person, talking to the right person that says, go talk to this person, this person, this person. And
how far, sorry, one more question. How far ahead do you speak to a mortgage broker? Do you speak to them like ahead of like a year in advance to kind of start doing your okay. So it's not something that you start right before when you start shopping.
That's
Like,
the worst
okay.
time to start, is right before.
Yeah, because I figured you kind of need to know the strategy ahead of time.
You need to know the strategy. They'll also tell you how much you can afford, so you're not going looking at McMansions and can only afford a $400,000 property, things like that. So they'll tell you how much you need in a down payment. They'll tell you like what your now they won't be able to lock in your rate, but they'll be able to say, right now you will be paying about this amount of money, so that you would know, okay, for me to be able to get into the type of house that I want, maybe I need to start that part-time freelancing business. Or maybe I need to start that part-time job so that I can have that second income, and it needs to show for 6 months or whatever. Like they'll be the person who can really kind of say, this is how you set it up. And I think thinking now about next year and giving yourself 12 months, so many people don't do that. You're going to be able to do so much more because you've taken that time to strategize.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is really helpful. And I signed up, but I didn't get a confirmation email. That's okay, right? We'll get
Yeah, for Black women making money. Yeah, there's no confirmation email. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was so
you're
great talking to
welcome.
you. Have a
Nice
great
talking with you
weekend.
as well. Thank you for coming up.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody. Let's see. What are you saying over here, Alonso? Oh, you're saying this up here. Cherie has been listening to me and accepted the challenge. Look, Alonso, we gonna duke it out, Alonso. I have been listening to you though, but I don't get to your channel as much as I would like to, unfortunately. They haven't updated the low income threshold. It was 2K above, and they really don't care if you don't have kids. Okay. Look. I used to disdain that when I was selling real estate, people would come and say, I have 50% down. I'd say, how much is that? Then they show me a $10 million house and they flip. Look, a lot of realtors prefer for you to have a pre-qual letter. It's either pre-qual or pre-approval, where they actually the mortgage brokers actually looked at your pay stubs and everything and verified everything. So that way the realtors can take you to houses that you actually can afford. So, oh, I'm sorry your client didn't show up for your meeting. I'm sorry about that. You're saying dealing with Black men is so annoying. Look. Can't help you with that. Victoria saying, I've chatted with Dave on camera a few times, but you definitely have to prepare. Yes, I know that. He's thorough. We can't just roll in off the streets, talk jive to him. That is so right. And you're saying it's a pre-approval. Yeah. So get your pre-approval status as well. Okay, everybody. Well, look, y'all know I usually never do more than an hour and a half, and we've just hit that time mark. I want to thank everyone for being here again. Like the video. My session with tomorrow with Dave is going to be pre-recorded, and he's going to put it on his new YouTube channel. So I got to finish my preparation with regards to that. But I want to thank all of you for indulging me tonight as we kind of prepared for my time with Diamond Dave. bwmakingmoney.com if you want to be on any of my real estate webinars, my business grant webinars, my LinkedIn masterclass that's coming up. All of those are free. bwmakingmoney.com for you to participate in any of those. I'll send you the links out for all of those sessions that I'm having, and more exclusive content as well. All right. Oh, hey, Mocha Mommy. Good to see you. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a happy Mother's Day to all of my mothers out there as well. I forgot to say that to you. Happy Mother's Day. And thank you, Mocha Mommy, for the super sticker. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it and appreciate you as well. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.